Wheeled sports. Wheeled sports are some of the fastest in the world. Formula One motor racing attracts millions of viewers. It is exciting, but can also be very dangerous. Motorcycle racing is equally exciting. Cycle sports have grown in popularity in recent years, and road races, such as the Tour de France, have wide television coverage. All wheeled sports require competitors to be in total control of their machines. Winning wheels cycle sports vary in distances. They take place indoors or outdoors.
Track racing is full of thrills and spills. Cyclists can reach incredible speeds as they whiz around the oval track with its specially banked sides. Road races can cover grueling distances. The most famous is the Tour de France, with hundreds of riders taking part each year. In cyclocross, the ground can be rough and uneven and requires skill and concentration from those taking part as they navigate the course. In all-wheel sports, the competitors must be in complete control of their machines at all times.
Motor racing. Motor racing competitions are held for different types of car, around circuits, on roads, or on grass and dirt tracks. In a Formula One Grand Prix, drivers race their cars around testing circuits at speeds of around 290 km/h, 180 miles per hour. These cars are made to be streamlined and lightweight. A Grand Prix circuit has corners and straights which should test the driver's skills.
Formula One Grand Prix circuit. The distance of Formula One Grand Prix circuit is 305 kilometers, 189 miles. The number of laps varies in each race according to the strength, according to the length of the, here the direction of the race, and here start finish, and here the curve, direction of the race here. Here the spoon curve, and here straight, and here finish.
Formula One. In Formula One races, drivers aim to get points from each race to win the World Championship. Rules and regulations. Motor racing. Before the race itself, the cars take part in practice or qualifying sessions. The aim is to complete the circuit in as fast a time as possible in order to get a place near the front of the starting grid. The grid is marked out on the track in front of the pits. The fastest car in practice is placed on pole position, at the very front of the grid. That car has the best chance of getting into an early lead, clearly a big advantage. The second fastest car gets second place on the grid, the third fastest gets third place, and so on. A green flag starts the formation lap, which is one lap of the circuit, taken at a steady pace. All cars must keep in their grid positions throughout the formation lap. When all the cars have completed their formation lap, the race itself can begin. The start must be not less than 4 seconds and not more than 10 seconds after all the cars are stationary on the grid with their engines running. At Grand Prix races, overhead red lights turn green to signal the start. The distance of a Formula One Grand Prix is 305 kilometers, 189 miles, or the number of laps that can be completed in 2 hours, whichever is the shorter. The number of laps varies according to the length of the circuit. The winner of the race is the first driver to complete all the laps. Any driver making a false start will be penalized by having 1 minute added to his race time, unless the race length is less than 30 miles, in which case the penalty is 10 seconds. The World Championship for Formula One drivers consists of a series of 16 Grand Prix races in different countries throughout the year. The winner of each race gets 10 points, the second gets 6 points, the third gets 4, the fourth gets 3, the fifth gets 2, and the sixth driver to finish earns 1 point. At the end of the season, the driver with most points is declared world champion. There is also a constructors' championship for the most successful make of car. Famous competitions. World Championship Grand Prix races. The first World Championship was in 1950 and the first race was on the Silverstone track in England. In 1958 a Construct Championship was introduced for the makers of all cars. The World Championships are held every year and involve 16 Grand Prix races around the world. The winner of each race gets 10 points, with the next 5 drivers getting between 6 and 1 point. The world champion is the driver who has the most points after all 16 races. Recent winners of the World Championship in Motor Racing, 1996. Damon Hill, Great Britain, 1995. Michael Schumacher, Germany, 1994. Michael Schumacher, Germany. Crash helmet. Fire-resistant racing suit. Driving gloves. Driving shoes. Rally driving. In rally driving, the race is against the clock rather than against other drivers. The cars are strengthened saloon cars and the route is divided into sections called stages. There are time control points between each stage, and points are lost if the driver takes too long over any stage of the route. The stages may be over closed, public roads or on private land such as bumpy forest tracks. Strong and fast rally cars are faster and stronger than ordinary cars to cope with the rough course. Rules and regulations. Rally driving. There are 2 members in a rally crew, the driver and the co-driver who acts as navigator. The co-driver studies each stage before the rally and prepares pace notes so that, on a fast run, he can tell the driver whether there are any sharp corners ahead. He is therefore able to guide the driver along a tricky route at top speed. Most rallies have open road sections where the cars travel along ordinary public roads at legal speeds. These sections link up the special stages. Even on the open road sections, the drivers must keep within a certain time limit. If they fail to do so, they receive time penalties which are added onto their overall rally time. On long stages and open road sections, the cars are started at regular intervals. On short stages, a car only sets off when the previous driver has completed the course. The winner of a rally is the car which has the fastest time, including penalties when all of the stages are added together. IndyCar racing. Most IndyCar races take place in the US. The cars are similar to, but slightly bigger than, Formula One cars. The championships, which take place mainly on oval circuits, are decided on points each year. The most famous IndyCar circuit is the Indianapolis, which is 4 kilometers, 2.5 miles, long. The Indy 500 race is held over 200 laps of the circuit with cars averaging a speed of 350 km/h, 220 miles per hour. The IndyCar these cars have a top speed higher than Formula One cars, but are less sophisticated. Rules and regulations. IndyCar racing. A typical IndyCar season has 16 rounds, including 1 race in Australia. An IndyCar race begins with a rolling start, where the cars are already moving. It is run over a far greater distance than a Formula One Grand Prix, so pit stops for fuel and fresh tires play an important part in the race. Accidents are frequent in IndyCar racing. After an accident, the drivers are shown yellow flags. This means that none of the drivers are allowed to overtake. Instead, a slow-moving pace car comes out onto the track and all the cars line up behind it until the wreckage is cleared. When the wreckage has gone, the pace car leaves the track, the green flag is shown, and racing begins again. Some drivers like to take their pit stops at the same time as these yellows, because their rivals are unable to take full advantage. Famous competitions. Indianapolis 500. The Indy 500 is held in May each year at the Indianapolis Raceway, in Indiana, USA. The race consists of 200 laps round the 2.5-mile circuit. The first Indy 500 was in 1911, and from 1950 to 1960 it was part of the World Championship. Recent winners of the Indianapolis 500, 1996. Bud Lazier, USA, 1995. Jacques Villeneuve, Canada, 1994. Al Unser Jr., USA. Indianapolis 5. The IndyCar. These cars have a top speed higher than Formula One cars, but are less sophisticated. Drag racing. Races are held along straight tracks called drag strips. The cars, named dragsters, have powerful, supercharged engines, usually at the rear. Dragsters race in pairs and often reach speeds of up to 485 km/h, 300 miles per hour. Because of their speed, they need parachutes to slow them down. The fastest dragsters are called top fuelers and have enormous rear tires. A drag race only lasts a few seconds. The dragster. A dragster has a lightweight body, with big wheels at the back to grip the track. Rules and regulations. Drag racing. There are 2 cars in each race. From a standing start, the first across the line at the end of the quarter-mile strip is the winner. Competitions have a series of eliminating heats leading to the final. If cars of different classes are competing against each other, a handicapping system is used to make sure that the smaller cars can race on equal terms with the larger ones. Electronic eyes are used to record the speed of the dragsters and their time down to hundredths of a second. Minor motorsports. Although Formula One racing is probably the most famous motorsport, people race a variety of other vehicles. Kart racing is a fast sport. The karts are tiny but powerful, with engines varying in size from 50cc to 250cc. The most exciting races take place on short, twisting circuits. In truck racing, the chassis of articulated trucks are raced in one of the strangest-looking motorsports. The vehicles have a top speed limit to create more excitement. All shapes and sizes kart and truck racing are very different types of competition. However, both demand great skill and daring from the driver. Motorcycle racing. There are 3 main types of motorcycling sport. Road racing takes place on circuits with a hard surface. Motocross is a cross-country event, and speedway is held on a circuit with a shale surface. The fastest of these is road racing, where there are separate races for different engine sizes. Cornering corners are where the skillful rider can gain ground. The bikes lean at incredible angles. The superbikes are raced in a separate class of their own. Rules and regulations. Motorcycle racing. There are a number of different ways of starting a road race. Grand Prix events usually start from a grid marked on the track with the fastest rider from practice in the inside position on the front row. The most popular method is for the bikes to be standing on the grid with their engines off and their riders beside them. When the starting flag falls, or when the lights change from red to green, the riders pull the clutch lever in against the handlebars and push the bikes forwards. As they jump on the machines, they drop the clutch to start the engine. In other races, the riders are already in the saddles with the engines running when the starting signal is given. So they simply roar away towards the first corner. Another type of start is the rolling start where the bikes complete a warm-up lap. At the end of the lap, they cross the grid and, without stopping, begin the race proper. The warm-up lap is useful for warming the tires which do not work very well when they are cold. A fourth type of start, the most unusual of all, is the Le Mans start, as used in the famous 24-hour sports car race. Here, the riders run across the track to where the bikes are parked and kickstart them into action. Any rider making a false start may receive a 1-minute penalty which will be added to his race time. Any rider found riding dangerously may be disqualified. He will be shown a black flag, ordering him to leave the track as soon as possible. The winner of the race is the first rider to complete the required number of laps, provided there are no penalties to add on. As they finish, riders are shown the checkered flag. In Grand Prix races, the first 15 riders to finish score points counting towards the World Championship. First place earns 25 points, second 20, third 16, fourth 13, fifth 11, sixth 10 and so on, down to 1 point for finishing 15th. Famous competitions. The World Championships. The Fédération Internationale Motocycliste, FIM, motorcycling's governing body, introduced the first World Championships in 1949 for the 125, 250, 350, and 500cc classes. The 50cc class was introduced in 1962 but changed to the bigger 80cc in 1982. The championships are held annually at different racetracks around the world. Winner of the most world titles in motorcycling, 15. Giacomo Agostini, Italy, 13. Angel Nieto, Spain. Motocross. Motocross races take place on bumpy countryside circuits, full of muddy ditches and steep hills. The tires on the bikes have thick, uneven treads to cope with the challenging conditions. There are often moments when the bikes fly through the air, as they go over hills. Riders sometimes end up on the ground. Often, the rider's biggest problem is keeping the visor on his helmet clean. Scrambling motocross began in 1927, and for many years was known as scrambling. Rules and regulations. Motocross racing. Most circuits are between 3,000 and 5,000 m long, about 2 to 3 miles. The riders usually line up across the course for the start, so there is a mad rush to the first corner. Races can either be over a particular number of laps or for a set time, the winner being the rider who completes most laps in that time. Speedway. The all-action sport of speedway racing takes place on an oval track with a loose surface of cinders or shale. As a result, the bikes are able to slide around the bends. This is known as broadsiding. The special lightweight bikes all have 500cc engines, but no gears or brakes. They can reach 96.5 km/h, 60 miles per hour, in just 3 seconds. Speedway is also known as dirt track racing. Team racing. There are individual races in speedway, but the team events are the most popular. Rules and regulations. Speedway racing. Speedway tracks usually measure between 275 and 450 m, 500 yard, in length. Each race lasts 4 laps of the track. There are 4 riders in each race and a meeting usually consists of 13 heats. The winner of each heat gets 3 points, the second rider 2 and the third man 1. At the end of the evening, the points are added up to find the winner. As well as individual events, there are league matches between rival teams. Each team has 7 riders who take it in turns to race. In the heats, 2 riders from one team race 2 from their opponents. The scoring system is the same as for individual meetings. The races start with all 4 riders lined up across the track behind a gate with elastic strips. When the starter raises the gate, the race begins. Riders must stay on the same line for the first 18 m, 20 yard, of a race, before they can break to any position. The rider drawn on the inside obviously has the best chance of getting to the first bend ahead of his rivals, which is important in such a short race. So the starting positions for each rider are changed with every heat. Trials riding. Trials riding is one of the oldest forms of motorcycle sport, and began as a method of testing motorcycles. As motorcycles became more and more reliable, trials riding became a test of the rider's skill. In trials competitions, riders make attempts to complete a cross-country course in the quickest time. The course is divided into sections, each with obstacles which the rider must cross. Feet off the ground, riders lose points if they put a foot on the ground to balance their machines. Minor motorcycling. In sidecar racing, the driver and passenger work as a team. The passenger adjusts his position to help control the machine. Enduro is a form of long-distance racing on loose surfaces. It is very popular in the United States, where the special bikes compete in races of up to 644 kilometers, 400 miles. In drag racing, 2 riders compete over a 402 m, 0.25 miles, track. Competitors are split into different classes according to the type of machine and fuel used. Designed to win, these motorcycles are specially designed to compete in 3 very different types of motorcycle sports. Cycle sports. Bicycles are designed in different ways to be raced on various surfaces, from specially built tracks to roads and cross-country. Most international track races take place on sloping wooden tracks named velodromes. Modern track racing bicycles are lightweight and aerodynamic. The Lotus bike, the flat frame and filled-in rear wheel act like a sail in the wind. On the right track, track racing bikes do not have any gears or brakes. Rules and regulations. Circuit racing. The standard length of a championship track is 333 m, 365 yard. The surface is made up of a number of thin, hardwood planks. The circuit consists of 2 straights and 2 steeply banked curves which can slope as much as 55 degrees. Even the straights have a slope of at least 12 degrees. 3 lines are painted round the track. On the inside is a blue line which marks the limit to where racing should take place. Above that is a red line, known as the sprinter's line, and beyond that, a third of the way up the bank, is another blue line. This is called the stayer's line. No sprinter can be passed below that line. Individual sprints are knockout competitions between pairs of riders and are usually run over 3 laps of the track. But it is only on the last lap that the serious racing begins. Until then, the riders travel very slowly in a tactical game of cat and mouse, trying to outwit each other and often standing still on their bike to try and force their opponent to take the lead. However, a rider is penalized if, during a standstill, he moves backwards more than 20 centimeters, 18. If this happens, that rider must lead for a lap. If either rider falls or has a puncture, the race is restarted. Pursuit races begin on opposite sides of the track. The winner is the fastest over a certain distance or the one who catches up with his opponent. In team pursuits, the winners are the first team to get 3 of their 4 riders home. If there is an accident in the first 30 m, 32 yard, of an individual pursuit race, it is restarted. But if it happens after that, the rider must retire. In the time trial, riders race one at a time against the clock over 1 kilometer, 1,100 yard. A rider may restart twice after an accident, but a third mishap means he must drop out. Points races begin with a mass start. In some events, the first 3 riders to cross the line at the end of each lap score points. The points available are doubled on the final lap. In the 50 kilometers points race, points are awarded to the leaders every 5 laps. In both cases, the winner is the one with most points at the end of the race. Famous competitions. The Tour de France. The Tour de France is the greatest cycling event in the world and one of the toughest races of any sport. The Tour is held each year and covers around 4,000 kilometers. The race is held in daily stages, with each stage being a different distance. The riders have to cycle up mountains and sprint along roads during the 3-week race. More than 10 million people watch the Tour de France each year. Recent winners of the Tour de France, 1996. Bjorn Ries, Denmark, 1995. Miguel Indurain, Spain, 1994. Miguel Indurain, Spain. Tight-fitting top. Streamlined crash helmet. Cycling shoes clip on to pedals. Skin-tight shorts. Road racing. Road races take place on ordinary roads which have been closed to traffic. They often last a few weeks and are split up into a number of different stages, including hill climbs and sprints. The races are tactical, with riders making a series of breaks from the main bunch of competitors. Road racing bikes are stronger and heavier than track bikes and have up to 20 gears. In World Championship races, the road must never be less than 5 m, 16.5 foot, wide. On the road, riders often help each other by offering food and drink to opponents. They will also wait for a rider who has a puncture. Rules and regulations. Road racing. In World Championship races, the road has to be at least 5 m, 16.5 foot, wide. Over the final kilometer, it must be no narrower than 8 m, 26 foot. To find the winner of a stage race, an event such as the Tour de France, which lasts for more than 1 day, the riders' daily stage times are added together. The rider with the lowest total wins. The team event is decided by adding together the times of the 3 fastest riders from each team on each stage. All through a stage race, the leader wears a yellow jersey. There are also points competitions, based on placings rather than times. So there is a separate competition for the rider who collects most points on the sprint stages and also for the one who does best on the hill climbs. The hill climb winner is called the King of the Mountains. In all road races, dangerous riding, such as crossing in front of a rival, is not allowed. Pushing another rider is also forbidden. But riders are allowed to help each other by swapping food and drink. Famous competitions. The Tour de France. The Tour de France is the greatest cycling event in the world and one of the toughest races of any sport. The Tour is held each year and covers around 4,000 kilometers. The race is held in daily stages, with each stage being a different distance. The riders have to cycle up mountains and sprint along roads during the 3-week race. More than 10 million people watch the Tour de France each year. Past winners of the Tour de France: 1996, Bjorn Ries, Denmark; 1995, Miguel Indurain, Spain; 1994, Miguel Indurain, Spain. On the road, riders often help each other by offering food and drink to opponents. They will also wait for a rider who has a puncture. Mountain biking. There are two types of off-road racing for bicycles: cyclocross and mountain bike racing. Cyclocross takes place on cross-country courses and competitors are allowed to carry their lightweight machines across obstacles and up steep hills. Mountain bikes are much stronger and heavier, with wide treads on the tires. Courses tend to be longer and steeper. Races take place across country, on downhill courses, and over difficult hill climbs. The mountain bike. Since the mid-80s, the mountain bike has inspired new international competitions, including a World Cup. Rules and regulations. Cyclocross. Cyclocross races are usually run in winter over several laps of a short, narrow course. The race begins with a must start, but the riders must not be more than 2 abreast. In addition to natural obstacles, the race organizers often put artificial obstacles in the way, such as a fallen tree or a gate. At these places, the riders are allowed to get off their bikes and carry them. In case of a breakdown, helpers are situated around the course with spare bikes. Mountain bike cross-country racing takes place over longer courses of about 8 kilometers, 5 miles, where there is less running with the bikes but much steeper hills. As in cyclocross, the winner is the first to complete the required number of laps. Riders must not receive any outside assistance except for being given drinks by course officials. Downhill mountain bike events take place over steep courses about 2.5 kilometers, 1.5 miles, long. Riders start at 1-minute intervals and the one who covers the course in the fastest time is the winner.